Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis. I'm the Director of BIM Development within CTC Software, and today we are really excited to bring you a guest presenter. We're going to be talking today about Naviate MEP, and we are going to be talking about, within that toolkit, how you can very powerfully power up your MEP production model creation. Now, as always, of course, these webinars are recorded, so you can always come back to this in the future on our YouTube channel, take a look at it, review this, share this with your team members so you can get them excited about these tools and see how this can really be a benefit for you. And also, as always, we try to keep our eyes on that questions window. So if you do have questions about today's topics while we're talking about it, ask those questions. We're more than happy to try to answer them in line if we can, if it fits. And if it can't, for those of you who are joining us live, we do save a QA session for the end so that we can make sure we try to get to as many of those questions as is possible. So without further ado, let's jump right in to what we're talking about today. So in the world of Revit MEP, there's certain aspects of modeling that can just be a bit frustrating. And the whole point of today's discussion and this tool set is it helps speed up the modeling and production tasks just by introducing these small but super powerful automations. And there's a whole collection of tools to help all of the MEP trades out. So no matter what stage of production you're in, kind of what your role is within the MEP realm, this toolkit is purposefully built to help you automate many of the tedious tasks within the Revit MEP space. So we're going to talk about a couple very specific things. We're going to optimize some of your modeling workflows by leveraging the 3D views that Revit has gloriously given us that we haven't been able to really use in a powerful way recently up until now. We're going to take a look at some of the batching tools that exist, like circuiting and some really powerful tagging tools. And just in general, the whole point here is to kind of figure out how users themselves, while they're working, can develop workflows just to combine many different commands in the Naviate MEP suite to pretty much overcome any obstacle. That's the whole purpose here. So without further ado, instead of you listening to me talk about this, we're going to actually pass this off to my teammate here, Ed, over at the Naviate/Symmetry team, who focuses very heavily on the Naviate MEP tool, as he is the MEP product manager. So Ed, I'm going to shut up now and let you take it away and talk about these tools that are meaningful for you.
Sean gave me a absolutely great intro there. Thank you for that. And I think he hit the nail on the head about what we're about to cover here. So I just wanted to give us a real 30,000 foot overview, kind of walk through the different areas we'll take a look at. Then I'm going to jump right in here and we're going to start doing this stuff. As you can tell, we are in Revit right now. Yes, this is Revit, not AutoCAD. Don't forget dark modes in the new versions. And if we take a look up top here, I am sitting in this MEP ribbon. So Naviate MEP is really going to be these two ribbons, this Accelerate and this MEP ribbon. With Accelerate having a whole bunch of unique, powerful workflows. We'll see a few of those pop up as we go. This tool is really here to help support what's inside MEP already. When we're talking production, when we're doing all these different tasks, all of those tools are going to sit inside that MEP ribbon for us. When we briefly look inside that ribbon, running from this Bloom tool all the way to the right over here where we see this flip multiple, everything that's sitting up there is actually going to go ahead and be a routing tool. Now you might briefly be seeing the man behind the mirror. I was doing a little bit of conduit earlier, so just toggling some settings that we'll talk about later. So far left side is all about modeling, and for any electrician sitting here, the far right side, this is for you guys. This is all circuiting tools that we'll be going through as well. The intent of this session is to kind of get a look at everything across the ribbon here, some ideas of those workflows and how they work with each trade. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with a little bit of plumbing. Then we'll make our way up into the ceiling to see some conduit, cable tray, and ductwork. We'll wrap around, maybe do a little more ductwork depending on the time. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up with some circuiting down at the bottom. Just like Sean said, I think that's enough talking. Let's start doing. So first big thing I'm going to do down here is go ahead and get myself a 3D view to work with. So grabbing some elements, using that Revit out of the box 3D selection tool, so that selection box, and then using window tile to stick those things next to each other. Every tool we have in Naviate actually enables us to work in 3D, and we're about to see why that is so incredibly powerful for us. Now, as I'm sitting down inside here, I'm going to go ahead and click my Biz Graphics and just get rid of those links. In a live project, I really recommend you leave them on. Being able to see the whole situation really helps make this all better. But for the sake of a webinar, I think I care more about you seeing what I'm actually doing. So here we go. I've got an underground system. This is a whole bunch of slope pipes sitting all over the place, partially completed. I don't know if the intern left for the day or what, but I got a task that I have to get done. As we take a look over here, this is probably the most annoying situation we run into in Revit, at least for a plumber here. Slope pipes that need to line up that are not built to line up. So let's start with some of the basic Naviate tools and see what we can use to start putting this together a little easier. So maybe going down to that elbow, converting it to a T, because you might remember if you try to draft in 3D views over here, you don't always get what you expect. You might be dropping something without a slope by accident. It's just really easy to mess those runs up. So I'm going to go ahead and just undo that. And instead of trying to draft that on my own, let's use a Naviate tool called Bloom. Bloom's going to let me go to any element with an open connector and cause an extension coming out that matches everything that came before it. So we'll see we get the same type, we get the same system, we get the same slope. So just a really quick way to go ahead and give myself a stub to work with. Now that on its own, not that big a deal, but if we pair it with something like the elbow up tool over here, we'll find that this becomes an incredibly easy to modify item in that 3D space. We're going to find that most of these Naviate tools are not meant to be used in a vacuum. We want to pair them with something else to do something a little bit more advanced. So let's not stop there. We're not going to just use Bloom and an elbow, right? That's only part of the run. I now have a couple more steps to do. I need to go ahead and get this aligned down here, and then I need to connect them together. So if we start thinking that next step workflow, that's going to be where Naviate really comes in. Whatever that next step is, there's likely a tool that Naviate has to make it easy. So aligning two pieces of slope, absolutely horrible. Let's do it with one button, align branch. Stationary, moving. You'll notice that floor drain did not move at all. This is truly a vertical change that I can then jump to regular old Revit for up in that modify tab and use a trim extend to connect together. So we'll see with just a couple button clicks here, we can get this whole thing routed together. You'll also notice I'm clicking a lot of buttons up here, but every single command in Naviate can be keyboard shortcutted. There is no requirement in here to go ahead and do all of that by button clicking. I think I saw a comment in here, someone asking if we could see the floor plan. Just to keep this running smooth, we'll see some floor plan stuff later when we get into the ceiling. I do want everyone to just kind of focus over here on the 3D portion of it right now. So we'll see a little bit of that 2D stuff when we get up into the ceilings for the rest of the project. Jumping back over this way, let's keep running with it. So I've got one of these things connected. Maybe I'd like to leverage that all over again. I'm going to just copy this over to get it close to that other floor drain. This is something I used to ban as a BIM manager. It caused too many problems trying to copy in 3D because you can't just pull something over to connect. Revit doesn't allow that to happen, which is why we created a very nice move connect tool that lets us choose a stationary, then a moving object. It'll maintain those relationships for the rest to just move it over and connect into place. From here, we use that exact same align branch tool to go stationary, then moving, fine tuning that connection, and then trim extend to connect it together, which that time I used a keyboard shortcut for. Now I'm going to undo back a little bit. I cheated here. Not everyone gets to start from a perfectly laid out system. Sometimes you got to do this from scratch. And I also undersold you on that Bloom tool. It does more than just little extensions. And if we kind of follow along here, you'll see the power of 3D being that one view, not cutting sections, just jumping around in one view wherever you do something. And if we take a look at this larger unit right here, we can actually use that Bloom tool against this unit as a way to go ahead and have every single one of those open connectors have something kicking out of it. But because that unit's undefined, there's no real way for it to know that just because that's a supply connector, did it know that it needed that exact supply duct? Or if we look down here, that sanitary pipe gave me a sanitary system and a standard pipe type. More often than not, we want something specific here, not just that, generic first choice. So if I undo back from there and we go up and look at some settings very quickly, you actually have full control over all of this. You can choose exactly what system, exactly what type. You can even choose what work set it lands on if you're working in one of those blended models with an M, an E, and a P all in here together. I'm going to do a very quick change here and just make sure that that sanitary is giving me the sanitary system type. And I want to go ahead and get a drainage pipe type. That's enough for me right here, which means when I bloom that out now, we should find, oh, I want the drainage system type, not the sanitary. You can know where every button is, but you can't fix user error. There we go. Now we'll see I am getting that correct type coming out of the side over here. So let's jump back to the underground, grab some elements, bring us back to this area, and we'll find that that now lets me go direct to that floor drain, use the bloom command, which I keyboard shortcutted, and immediately have that stub ready to go. Let's introduce another new tool called Move Connect Align, which is going to let me take that vertical and automatically rotate, move, and connect that P-trap. I don't know why every P-trap was built sideways. Someone made a decision back in 2013 or so, and we live with it. So there's a button that makes you not have to live with it anymore. Just move, connect, and align it. Let's go rapid fire here and start adding some more commands. Let's use Bloom to get an extension. Let's grab that whole chunk of elements and use a tool called Rotate Fitting to rotate all of those elements at once about this vertical. Turn it 90 degrees. Now I could use Align Branch to line these up again, but because Bloom only knows what comes before it, we'll find that this is not currently sloped. Well, Align Branch has a big brother, Align Branch Plus, which is going to let me inherit the slope while lining these items up. So if I say Align Branch Plus down, we're going to slope down to the main. We'll find that not only does it line it up without moving that floor drain, but we also get the slope inherited. So I can use Trim Extend to bring those together. The whole idea here is to use one command, then another, strung together to let you do pretty much anything you want. We're not going to lock you into one specific shape. It's what you need that shape to be. Now, just to really hit home how quick this 3D routing can be, I'm going to do a few more runs here, but I'm going to use mostly keyboard shortcuts, and we're not going to dive as deep into the explanation for each step I'm doing. I want us to see how quick we can route in 3D, maybe finishing up this vent system. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to throw an elbow up, then an elbow over. If I miss the direction, no worries. We'll rotate fitting to turn that back the correct way. I'm going to use my version of split with gap, which cuts a hole without placing couplings. I'm going to tab select that element set I'd like to continue using and move it over here. If I leave the whole thing selected, then use Move Connect, we'll find it treats it as a group while it moves it into place. If we use Move Connect on a straight element, we'll find it extends it into place. So we'll actually learn that several of our commands have multiple functionalities. If we look up here, I really need these things to be in alignment with each other. And you know what? Maybe I kind of want to line them all up against this back element. I could use something like Align in 3D to go ahead and get these aligned against each other. If we convert that to a T, we can use that same Move Connect because we just learned Move Connect on a straight extends into place. Now I need this to line up against that vertical, and that Align Branch is not just for slope pipe, it's for any time you want some stuff to be lined up together, except for this one. Oh, there we go, perfectly lined up for us to then do a Trim Extend again and get that perfect connection. So the name of the game is small automations linked together that let us do something a lot more advanced. Now, I'm going to get us away from pipe work. There's only so many plumbers in the room and everyone needs to see a little something. But I'd like to make this note real quick. Every command you see up here, unless I specifically say otherwise, is universal. So all these tools work on conduit, they work on cable tray, they work on ductwork, they work on oval ductwork. It does not matter. These are a universal set of tools built to work everywhere. So as we jump up into the ceiling and start trying some other tools out like Route 2 and Kick 90, and maybe these over-unders, I'd like to just remind you, yes, those do work for pipe as well, and they will work for ductwork too. All right, let's get to the ceiling. Again, that workflow of working in a 3D is so nice, just grabbing the elements you want, 3D button, and now I'm working in a new area. Now, before we get into something new, I'd like to go talk about something old, those elbow tools. They're pretty cool. Elbow up and down is pretty neat. But what about maybe routing a rack through a building? Let's take a look at these 3 conduits right here. Maybe I want to grab that whole stack of conduits, and I'm going to use some keyboard shortcuts here for my elbow commands and for my move command, Revit's out of the box move. And maybe I want to route this rack through my building. I could say, let's go elbow left to turn all these left. You'll notice it maintains selection. So I can immediately use my move command, because we'll find move on a straight just extends it, which really means if you want to route a rack through your building, pairing the elbow tools with the move tools is an incredibly fast way to just get those base runs populated as you make your way through a space. As long as you get that first rack laid out properly with spacing, everything else is a breeze. And as we hit the end of that run, if I want all these to go up to the level above, again, just hit it with an elbow up. And now they're all turning up. But again, because it holds on to that selection, if I'd like to make this a riser or a distribution through my building, just jump right over to your properties browser and send this thing up to 50 feet. And there we go. Never cut a section view, never left my base drafting views that I'm working in, but I've already laid out that entire rack and sent it up through my entire building. Jumping back up this way, let's keep this route going and go to a real nasty situation. Apologies if there's any architects in the room, but man, we get some weird ceilings to deal with sometimes, or awkward spaces. There's all sorts of nasty connections people ask us to make. I got one for you right here. I got this weirdly sloping rack to this weirdly splayed out system. And if I needed to maintain this setup here and connect these, it is a pain in the butt. You have to cut sections, rotate perfectly, probably not going to get the angle you want to get. It just stinks. So we're going to 1-button it. Route 2. What angle do I want? I can either choose it here, hit that drop down and pick it, but I'm thinking 15 degrees sounds good to me. Start, finish, start, finish, start, finish, and we have a perfect roll on each of those. For everyone looking for that 2D routing, it's that standard 2D routing. If you're wondering why my fittings look a certain way and yours look different, it's because those are the ones loaded into my project. Naviate is purpose built to work with whatever library you've got. So if you're running the productivity pack, we're going to work great with that. If you've custom built something, no problem there either. As long as it works with Revit, it works with Naviate. Now, I can't hear you guys talking back to me or laughing, but if you route conduit, you probably laughed at that. That was horrible. We don't want to do that. Let's delete it. What I'm actually going to do here is that kind of rolled 90 shape. We're calling a kick 90 here. Let me go ahead and call out maybe a 5-degree bend to go ahead and make that corner. And tools like this exist because Revit can't handle it. If you try to trim that corner using the classic trim tool, Revit just can't do it. Trim is only good for elements that are at the same height. So where Revit fails, that's where Naviate starts to begin. That's what we want to pick up and make work properly. And we really try to make all these tools dirt simple and feel exactly like Revit. So where trim is click, click, and it brings it together, what do you know? Kick 90 is also click, click, bring it together. We'll find everything is stationary, then moving, constant, then variable. So we get a constant 90 to a variable bend. And to wrap that route up real quick, maybe we do an elbow down on the back side, move those things against the wall, and make sure that all of those elements end 2 feet above the floor. If I want to connect to the underground, feel free. Same exact idea. Stuff is never lined up, but still needs to connect. So maybe I want to use that kick 90 in a vertical, because none of our tools are orientation dependent. Wherever you want to use them, feel free. So I can do 90 to a bend underground. Hardest part's clicking the right elements. 90 to a bend underground, or if you want to bend in wall, 90 underground to bend in wall. And if you want to go ahead and do this on a piece of ductwork, because ductwork also gives us really funny results when you trim the corner like this, we get this weird double bend instead of that rolled bend. Same exact tool works the same exact way, no matter where you go. We are built to connect nice and easy. All right, so let's keep going. I want to do one last quick one on some conduit. We'll do it again on some ductwork, but I'd like to introduce the reroute under over command. This is one of my favorite modeling commands. Jumping over this way, it's a really quick way to grab a rack of elements. Choose your left side and right side cut, a vertical offset, maybe -1 foot. And let's do a 30-degree bend here. Incredibly quick way to start clearing clashes. This is another one of those highlights of a 3D view. As long as you're locking yourself into one of those planes, there's no need for a section. If I know this needs to be 2 inches off bottom of duct, I'm just using my move command and making it 2 inches off the bottom of duct. There's no need for a section. You can do everything from 3D. Stop wasting time cutting sections. Don't forget, all these tools work in 2D or 3D with any system. So if you want to go ahead and do that with cable tray, feel free. If we want to go ahead and do that over under on ductwork, again, feel free. Grab that whole stack of elements, MEP over under, left side cut, right side cut, offset angle. I'm just going to highly recommend you do some really big numbers here, because ductwork fittings are huge. So do make sure you leave room for those fittings. Otherwise, we'll just pop a warning letting you know there's not enough space. Something really nice here as well is some fitting on fitting connections using that move connect tool. Because to get these to go and snap together, you kind of have to pull it and hope that it recognizes that snap. We use move connect, 1, 2, that right side's connected together. Spin to the left, move connect again, 1, 2, and now I got a fully connected system. Just like before, we can go ahead and snap ourselves to the left view, grab all those items and use the move command to go ahead and make them all the same bottom elevation. Maybe you're not a visual person though, just a quick tool inside Accelerate called match parameters could let you grab a host element, and maybe you want to just get the, where's my lower end, bottom elevation there, great. Let's grab 2 other elements and just match those values together. So there's lots of tools in the MEP, but there's also tools in Accelerate that support those workflows. All right, let's go ahead and keep wrapping through the building here and get down to do a little bit more ductwork. Jumping down to the bottom here, we can go ahead and take a look at this larger VAV that's sitting around. And maybe today I'm just doing ductwork. I don't actually want to do pipe work. We'll see there's some pipe connectors waiting for me over here. I could always go right up to Bloom, find my pipe work, and turn these systems off. So Bloom just will not execute against those pipe connectors. And now I can work with just those ductwork trades that I need to. Maybe I want to do an elbow up over here in 3D to start locating it. Maybe I'd rather jump to 2D to locate it. Really up to you and your workflows. There's not necessarily one specific way to get anything done. I like to say it's whatever's quickest for you is the correct way. Maybe I have some air terminals. Maybe one of those is from a rotated portion of the building. That move connect line from earlier that we used on the P-trap, perfect for that rotated portion of the building. That regular move connect is great when they're already lined up, and we can do that anywhere. That align branch from earlier, if we use it on a ductwork in a perpendicular, it's always going to line it up center on center, and you could see that right there, right? It's giving me that center on center alignment. That's so I can use the regular old trim tool to connect those things together. The problem is life is not center on center. Life is offset. Life is funny. So why don't we go ahead and make this thing knock up a little bit there, and now we got something funny. Getting the rest of these to align to that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Sure, you could maybe use one of those tools and accelerate to set those bottom elevations together. But I'm also here to tell you I've got a really nifty aligning tool, and that align branch is your best friend in this situation. Align branch, when items are parallel, becomes a face-based tool. So if I want top face to align to top face, choose your two top faces, and now they're both aligned. If I want left to align to left, same idea, align branch, left face to left face, and now we'll see they're stacked that way as well. So depending on your goal, depends on which tool, but remember, there's always a few ways to get it done. Now that I'm lined up here, trim extend won't work in a 3D view. It does work in 2D if you prefer to run it in 2D, but if you do really fall into those 3D workflows like me, we've got a tap tool to let you make that connection in 3D. That tap tool is actually a whole lot more powerful than I just made it look. It's really built to help us with those situations where Revit doesn't like it, but we know it exists like that in real life. So I'm going to nudge this up exactly one nudge so that connector hits that face. Doesn't matter how much, it could be a fraction of an inch. That connector just has to hit that face. Because that tap tool will allow us to make this connection, right? We're fully connected now, actually connected together. Revit hates this. It's that tap off bottom of duct. And if you try to make this connection with trim extend, you get this nasty looking slope thing. So we all know in real life, they'll build a sloping boot, nice and easy to connect. Revit just doesn't like to show it. So tap is going to be our way to still show those connected, even if Revit doesn't really want to deal with it. There's some real quick routing. We'll also catch, I got incredibly lucky here. My boots are going the same way. That never happens. So instead of dealing with them individually, let's grab all of them at once and use a tool in MEP called flip multiple. And we can go ahead and flip flop those all at the same time. So flip multiple is a lot more powerful than just flipping boots. It's a flipping great command. So what else could we flip? Maybe some lights. This tool actually came out because I placed about 2,000 lights on the wrong work plane, and I had to spend 2 days flipping every flipping light to be the correct direction. So instead of clicking this button 100 times, grab all of your lights, jump up to MEP and use flip multiple to flip them all. Incredibly quick way to make your way through here. And just to let you know, that tool does work with anything with a flip symbol. So if you want to go ahead and flip an outlet, a panel, a light, and a boot, I'd say you're flipping crazy, but I'm going to flip and let you do it. And they'll all flip at the same time. All right, I think I've said flip enough now, so let's get off of that tool. And for the electrical people here, I'd like to bring us over and start taking a look at a little bit of circuiting and a little bit of tagging. So anyone who's here that's maybe not electrical specific, you should still hang out. This tagging stuff is pretty crazy. And then I got one final tool after the circuiting here, data sync, that is important for everybody to see. So let's talk tags real quick. That's actually a tool from Accelerate. And if we jump into sheets and views, we'll find there's all sorts of tools in Accelerate, but this one right here, these three are what we currently care about. Tag settings is our opportunity to jump in and actually start building out some tags to go ahead and let us choose some locations. Now, exactly 30 minutes ago, these all looked great, so I apologize on these things looking not so good. I'm going to see very quickly if I can't add some new ones to look correct. I don't want to save some settings. I think we might unfortunately just have these things looking a little funny. All right, I do apologize here, but I can tell you exactly what's happening, and you'll see it in 2 seconds. As I click that lighting and we look on the right, you'll see I'm actually calling out 2 different tags, a circuit tag and a panel tag. I'm asking for them to be placed in 2 different locations, the bottom right and the top left. And then I'm asking them to have an offset from the element of 8 inches. What does that look like? It looks like a tag in the top left and the bottom right. And it looks like that tag has been placed 8 inches off the bounding box of that element. So these tagging tools are incredibly quick ways to jump in and start tagging elements. If we jump down to fixture tags, we'll see the same process here, giving me all those circuit information for my electrical fixtures. Now I'm going to close out of this window, but we're going to still use these tag tools, leveraging some of the other commands as we go. So I've got some elements tagged. That's great. Why don't we jump up to MEP now and see some of these circuiting tools we have access to. So the first three here, these are just to help with menu diving. I don't want to have to click every element, go to circuits, edit my circuit, remember to do everything here and actually finish it. I'd like to just sit up in this top-down view and just do some quick stuff. Like if I want that to go back to being nothing, I can use a circuit remove, and now it's back to nothing. If I want to add it back to circuit 1, circuit add, choose your element, finish. Now it's part of circuit 1. If I want to merge them, circuit merge, 1, 2, finish. What do you know? They're merged. I'm going to cancel this. I do not want to delete it, but there we go, right? Those first three, just super quick circuit editors. These next two are for some slightly more powerful workflows. So I'm going to go to accelerate, sheets and views, tag select real quick. Let's get some more tags on these guys because they're currently uncircuited. If we jump up to MEP, we're going to talk create circuits before we talk copy circuits. Now I'm going to do create on 2 outlets, but I'd like you to imagine maybe some distribution panels, maybe some large pieces of equipment we want to connect. The idea is that sometimes I want to grab multiple elements, and I want each of those elements to get circuited to this panel as an individual circuit. To do this in Revit, you actually have to click each element, power circuit, then go to this one, power circuit. Well, what we're saying is grab as many of those elements at a time as you would like. MEP, create circuits, choose my panel, and we'll find that those were both created as unique circuits onto that panel. So a really easy way to start taking a group of elements and giving each of them their own circuit. Copy circuits is a beast. So let's take a look at the basic version of copy circuits. I'm going to go ahead and click an element that's already been circuited, hit finish, and go from location 1 to location 2. We'll find that, hey, maybe it's not hosted, but what do you know? There's 2 elements that were brought over. And what exactly happened with those 2 elements? Well, they were added as a new circuit on the same panel. So copy circuits on an already circuited element is going to copy it to a new location with any other elements in that circuit and add it as a new circuit to the same panel. What if we do copy circuits on the panel itself? Choose the panel, finish, and then location to location. So I'm actually going to take this to the middle of nowhere because I already said it, but I really want to prove it. Hosting doesn't matter. You can still use this tool even if it can't find hosts, and we'll find all of those circuits were brought over. We do that because, just because an architect says it's a type A room, all those type A rooms are a little bit different. Now, I'm not just bringing them over and asking you to recircuit them. We are actually creating a brand new panel with all of those circuits maintained, recircuited to that brand new panel. And it's all actually connected. It's not text funny business. This is truly a new panel, new circuits on that new panel with orientation maintained, including the orientation of those circuits. So we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we look down here, we'll see the same 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if that's not cool enough for you, what if I told you we could do it from floor to floor? As long as you pop into an elevation view, this tool works level to level. I'm going to grab that panel in 2D because it's easier to find. Hop over here and let's do copy circuits from level 1 to level 2. No hosting issues this time. And let's go take a look at that level 2 drawing and see what's going on up here. And I think I want quarter scale here as well so you guys can see it, right? Great. And there we go, everything waiting for me. Now, I'm not only going to build half an automated workflow for you, we're going to have the whole workflow automated. So if you sent this to a bunch of different levels, you probably need to tag those now, right? Maybe you're maintaining a typical floor and you'd like to populate your model before you send it out. Jumping up to sheets and views here, those tag tools Well, we've kind of left this guy out. Let's take a look at tag all. Tag all is going to show me every single view that's inside my project. That's going to show me every configuration that I created. In fact, you can create groups of configurations. So my electrical group would mean I'm tagging both lighting and fixtures in one go. So maybe I want to run that electrical group against 2-dash coordination, some lighting views, there's a power view. Maybe that's good enough for me. Maybe I want that other power view too. Pick what you want. If you want to filter down, you can filter down as well. Click add, and it's going to go to each of those views and apply those templates to all elements within those views. We'll see I just placed, I don't know, a couple hundred tags in a couple seconds. When you close out, closes all those extra views. There's all my tags waiting for me. That means my only real step here is giving these things realistic names. And we're good to go. That tag all tool, just to note, that's not just for elements within your project. You might have noticed in my settings earlier, maybe not because they were hard to see, but you can also make tag settings for linked models. So if you wanted to tag every room in a project, you could go to those rooms and tag every room. Maybe there's an element in one of those links, like a VAV box, or maybe you're an electrician trying to go ahead and tag some of those lights. You could run that same tool to tag all those elements. Really gives us a lot of variability in here. In fact, when we talk copy monitoring, we tried to make that easier as well. When we're inside the MEP ribbon, we also have some fancy copy monitoring tools. Now, these are entirely different than Revit's out-of-the-box copy monitoring. This is our own version, completely separate from that. That makes the tool a little bit more visual-based, using colors to tell us if things have been updated, moved, or changed, but allowing us to create these puck families that give us quite a bit more leeway. And now let's see what I mean here. If I can click that element in the background, we'll find that that light is a troffer lens, 2x2, 2-lamp, 120 volt. Awesome. They actually even filled out the data correctly, so it'd be really cool if I could maintain that as well. If we come back in here and we look at Copy Monitor Plus, we'll see there's a manager, a toggler, and an updater. If you look to the right, we'll see the copy tool and the update tool. So let's copy some lighting fixtures here. Hit finish. It's going to run through. Oh, make sure you have a shared parameter file in your project. Let's go manage shared parameters. Let's just create a new one and call it CTC. Let's delete those guys. Right back up to MEP, copy lighting fixtures, grab those all over again, hit finish here, and we should not get those pop-ups this time. Awesome. If we check any of those elements out, you'll catch what's cool about them is they're just a representative puck family, something that you could tag, something that if you want to click, you can actually circuit because it always comes with a power connector on it already. You'll also catch that it copied that data from the linked element into it. It's not just copying that electrical data though. If we take a look at that element inside, we'll notice this also has a mark of 234. Well, we maintained that mark of 234. So any matching parameters, we're going to go ahead and maintain as we run that copy monitor tool. We'll see as we jump up here and do that color toggle, it tells us these are all matching. If I move one of these things off and we toggle the toggle, we'll now see it showing up blue, letting me know that something's been moved. So I can immediately run my updater to put it back where it belongs. Now, sure, this is nice, it's neat, we're not getting as many pop-ups and warnings, but this looks like a pretty limited tool. I only have lighting fixtures, electrical fixtures, and mechanical equipment. The real intent over here is to build this out for anything you would typically work with. And we're opening up those categories so you can do even more than what regular copy monitor allows. Maybe it's duct dampers, because duct accessories are not available inside that copy monitor tool. But if we think of an electrician real quick, that's a powered item. We need to go ahead and have some power to that motorized damper. And there's no way to really jump in here and track those things against each other. These tools here let us actually build out those additional mappings we'd like, choosing any of those groups or categories we'd like to work with, creating that association, and then we'll find that waiting for us right up here within the ribbon, ready for us to use. You'll also notice that puck family, not only did it copy that data, it's copied the name of the other family in as well. So we actually renamed the type to match what that host family came from. All right, I've got one last tool to show everyone here, and it's sort of this all kind of together with this linking data mindset. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to a one-line diagram. We've all got them. It's part of life, one-line diagrams. But if we go in and we look at a one-line diagram, they're usually pretty siloed. Anything you do in one of those diagrams is not, it's kind of unique to that diagram. That data doesn't exist elsewhere. And that stinks, because if I change this VAV over here that says VAV123, if that renumbers, I now have to go find the exact one in all of my diagrams, and really, it's a lot of effort to remember what that data is. And what ends up happening is we make mistakes, and something doesn't get updated someplace else, and you put out some drawings and they get kicked back because data doesn't match. Enter data sync. What's it going to do for me? Well, pay attention over here. It's going to allow us to live update data. What we're able to do is choose Revit elements and link them against detail items. So data sync says, choose a Revit element, choose a detail item, and then choose some parameters you care about. Maybe I care about comments. Maybe there's something else I care about as well. I'd like you to notice this is every parameter you are able to map over. It's up to you what parameters are syncing. I'm going to sync to detail. Click. Oh, there we go. Sync has been done. Click close, and oh, it's still a question mark. Well, if we go check the comments, is there anything even here? There wasn't. So maybe this is VAV345. And there we go, data automatically populating and updating. Now, if we really want to think about a giant workflow linking this all together, we can start building out this data even inside our one-line diagram first. You might have noticed in that data sync tool, there's sync to element or sync to detail. So we could start in one and push to the other. You can go ahead and have all this data linked wherever you need it. We can use those tagging tools to go ahead and jump into our detail views and tag all of those elements all at once. With Naviate, it's really, what's your end goal? Let's break that up into those individual steps and see what tool is going to get us there quicker, faster, and with less issues. Rarely will you use just one Naviate tool. It's almost always that collection of commands blended together to let you have those workflows that you need. All right, I think I agreed to do about 45 minutes here, and well, if I didn't nail that dead on, I promise I didn't practice that. This just worked really, really well. So I think it might be time to hand this back to Sean here. We can start going through the rest.
All right, Ed, thank you very much for that presentation here. And thank you to all of you who are watching this live with us and as a recording. We always enjoy the opportunity to interact with you live, and we always enjoy those of you who are up on our YouTube channel watching this after the fact as a recording. We all hope that you found this incredibly valuable and that you can use this information to, make a decision as to whether the Naviate MEP toolkit is appropriate for you guys in your firm, and be able to use these in your daily workflows to really speed up that whole modeling effort that, as you saw, as many of you know, can be really, really tedious. Now, those of you watching this online, we do hope that this earns a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, helps us, with all of our other clients, help them find this information to be valuable to them as well. And we look forward to seeing you on future CTC recordings.